Sometimes love teaches the hardest lessons, and sometimes it leaves you completely speechless. I never thought I would be sitting here, telling you about the day she left. But life has a strange way of teaching us things we don't want to learn. My name is David, and this is my story. I loved her. I loved her more than I loved myself. And for a while, I thought she loved me back the same way. Her name was Emily. She had this laugh that could make the grumpiest person in the world smile. I remember the first time I heard her laugh. I was walking past the cafe, spilling my coffee on my shirt, and she laughed. Not at me, I swear, but, okay, maybe a little at me. But it was beautiful. And in that laugh, I felt something I had never felt before. Hope. We met in the most ordinary way, but love has a funny way of turning ordinary into extraordinary. I was late for work, again. My boss had already yelled at me 3 times that week. And there she was, sitting by the window, sipping her tea, completely calm. I wanted to impress her, so I tried to sit casually, and spilled my bagel crumbs all over the floor. She smiled and said, "Need some help?" That was the beginning. The bagel incident became our inside joke, by the way. Years later, we would still laugh about it, until life started teaching us lessons in a much harsher way. We got married after 3 years. I thought marriage would be like the movies. You know, romantic dinners, lazy Sundays, holding hands while walking in the park. And we had that. For a while. But slowly, life began adding little cracks to our perfect picture. It started with small arguments. Nothing big at first. Like whether to have pizza or pasta for dinner. Or whether we should watch a horror movie or a comedy. She liked horror, I liked comedy. But in those small disagreements, I started noticing a bigger problem. I wasn't listening. Not really. I thought I was, but I wasn't. And then came the bigger fights. I would come home tired from work, expecting her to smile, and she would have that look, the one that said, "You don't care about me anymore." And honestly, sometimes I didn't. Not because I didn't love her, but because I was busy with work, bills, traffic, and all the stupid grown-up stuff that somehow matters more than love, at least in the moment. She tried to talk to me. I tried to listen. Or at least, I thought I was listening. But real listening is hard. It's not just nodding and saying, "Aha, I understand." It's feeling what the other person feels. And I was terrible at it. One day, she said something I will never forget, "I feel like I'm living with a stranger." Those words hit me like a truck. I thought we were happy. I thought we were fine. But she wasn't. And by the time I realized it, it was too late. She left. Just like that. No fight, no big scene. Just a note on the kitchen table. I remember picking it up, thinking it was some silly grocery list. But when I read it, my world fell apart. She wrote, "David, I need to find myself. I can't do this anymore. I hope you understand one day. Goodbye, Emily." I stared at that note for hours. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't even get angry. I just felt empty. The apartment felt too quiet. Her laughter was gone. The little crumbs on the floor from our bagels were gone. Everything that reminded me of her, gone. And with it, I felt like a part of me was gone too. I won't lie, those first few weeks were horrible. I tried everything to distract myself. I cleaned the house like a madman. I cooked, which is dangerous because I can barely boil water without almost burning the kitchen down. I watched TV, but everything seemed dull. Even the commercials about happy families made me feel worse. I even considered calling her 100 times, but I didn't. Somehow, I knew she wouldn't answer. And then, slowly, life taught me its hardest lesson. Love is not about possession. Love is not about control. Love is about understanding, caring, and sometimes letting go. I remembered the good times, the silly times, the times we laughed until our stomachs hurt. And I realized I had focused too much on the small annoyances, the fights, the work, the grown-up problems. I had forgotten to show her that I loved her every single day. I thought love was permanent, like a contract you sign, but love, real love, needs effort. I started small. I wrote in a journal every day about what I felt, what I missed, what I learned. I started talking to friends about my mistakes, even laughing at myself sometimes. Because honestly, life is ridiculous. One day, you're spilling bagels on the floor trying to impress a girl, and the next day, you're crying alone, missing the same girl. And slowly, I started healing. Not completely. Not yet. But I was learning. I was learning to listen, to care, to notice the little things. I was learning to love better, not just someone else, but myself too. I still think about her. I still remember the way she laughed, the way she smelled, the way she would tease me when I burned the toast. But I don't hate her. I don't blame her. I understand now that leaving was her way of finding peace. And I hope one day she is truly happy, wherever she is. Sometimes we love people the wrong way. Sometimes we take them for granted. And sometimes losing them is the only way we learn how to love properly. So, if you are watching this and you have someone you love, tell them. Show them. Don't wait for life to teach you the hard way. Life has a strange sense of humor. It will teach you through loss, through silence, through those small everyday things you thought didn't matter. I loved her, and she left me. But through losing her, I found a part of myself I had never met. A part that listens, that cares, that laughs at life's ridiculousness, and that knows that love, real love, is not about holding on too tight, but about letting go when it's time. And if you're struggling with love, heartbreak, or loss, remember this: it's okay to hurt. It's okay to cry. But it's also okay to laugh, to grow, and to hope again. Because life doesn't stop, and neither should we. Thank you for listening to my story. Maybe it will help you, maybe it will make you think, or maybe it will make you smile a little, even if your heart is heavy. And that's the first step to learning not just English, but life itself.